Ladies and gentlemen, Barry C here with another cryptocurrency video, and XRP is ready for takeoff. We have the second leg up of the bull run happening very, very soon, and that is the alt season that everybody has been waiting for. And this is going to be the biggest alt season anyone has seen in crypto ever. Now, in my past videos, I'd originally talked about this idea of the second leg up happening second week of Jan until about end of March, end of April. And we've all seen something that no one anticipated whatsoever, which was a mini bear market within the gap between bull run cycles. So we had like the first leg up from end of October to December. And then we didn't see the typical Christmas and New Year's dip that we always see. And then we saw a bit of movement towards middle of end of January, and then we saw the market dip. So we haven't seen that second leg up yet. And I made a video recently talking about the sort of pivot and readjustment of my alt season time frame. I still think we see the alt season kick off as we head into April of 2025, and that should probably last April, May, and maybe first week of June, maybe all of June. Now, I still think we see a couple of months where the alt season unfolds, and in that time frame, we're going to see the type of euphoric, parabolic price action that we've all come to expect from an alt season, and XRP is absolutely going to lead the way this alt season. We are going to see prices like $5, $10, maybe even $20. It depends on how high XRP rallies and how parabolic and how volatile and how crazy this alt season is. And look, to me, those are conservative prices. Could XRP rally higher than those? Absolutely it could. Now, not financial advice, ladies and gents, but for me, I always put out more conservative price points because I don't want people making rash or ill-informed decisions under the assumption that we're going to see 10,000 per XRP or 100,000 per XRP in the next couple of months. We've seen that happen already in the past where, not pointing fingers, but other people within the XRP community had put out these type of price points where they said within the space of a couple of months or 6 months, we were going to see 10,000 XRP, 35,000 per XRP. This is back in 2019, heading into 2020. And a lot of people had over-leveraged themselves because they had this assumption that, well, I can spend all this money now, whether I'm mortgaging my properties, whether I'm taking out loans, whether I'm using credit cards to buy crypto, which is the worst decision ever. They were putting themselves in massive amounts of debt because they were led to believe that there was going to be this rally to 10,000 plus in the space of a couple of months. And the reason why I highlight that is because a lot of people go, well, Barry, you're only talking about $5 or $10 or $20. What about 10,000 or 100,000? I will never put out those type of prices unless we're talking really, really long term, because it's not realistic. Even with other cryptos like Bitcoin going from $1 to $100,000 per coin, that took over 7 years. That took a very long time to get to that point. It took 3 bull runs to get to that point. And XRP is only going to see really explosive price movement when we see a utility run. Right now, we're just discussing the idea of an alt season. And if it comes to just alt season volatility, then I really don't see how XRP could get to $1,000 this alt season. That's why for me, my plans are all based around $5, $10, and $20. Now, like I said, would I love to be proven wrong? Absolutely. I would love to wake up tomorrow and XRP is $1,000 per coin. That would be life-changing and amazing. But I don't base my planning around those type of notions. Now look, long-term, whether it's 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, do I think XRP could far exceed the $1,000 price point? Absolutely. However, if we are looking at short-term price predictions, then the more realistic outlook is the $5, $10, $20 price points, because we have to look at the way the market has performed when we've gone from bull run to bull run. And typically you can take the previous all-time high of a crypto and double it. And so if XRP was to essentially double in price from its last all-time high, which is around $3, $3.80, then we could look at a price point between $6 to $10, roughly. And look, we could go higher. Once again, it depends on how volatile this alt season is, and it depends on what type of money comes into the market, and it depends on if we have institutional money coming in as well, if we have a BlackRock XRP ETF or other XRP ETFs approved, if we get more information on the resolution of the Ripple versus SEC lawsuit. There's a lot of things that have to be considered, not just the volatility of market movement with an alt season. And this brings me back to my sort of original point, which is XRP is absolutely going to rally. It just depends on how high it will go. And that's why it's so important to have a plan that involves multiple price points. Because where a lot of people make mistakes is they get married to a specific price. And we saw this in November of 2024. When XRP went from 50 cents to over $2 a coin, there were so many people, despite the fact that they had put out this narrative of having these gigantic XRP holdings and these gigantic bags, they were really hesitant and almost, dare I say, scared to take profits around $2.60, $2.70, because in their minds they had focused so much and so long on this notion of taking profits at $100 per XRP or $50 or $1,000, that $2.70 didn't really align with their vision or their strategy. And then the problem is you get to where we are now and all those people have the same sentiment, which is, I wish I'd taken some profit. And this is why for 3.5 years, I've been talking about this idea of having a plan so you can take profits, especially when we move from October into November of 2024. For those of you who have followed my channel, you've heard me talk about this over and over and over again. And it really amuses me when I see people go, Barry C, you just keep saying the same thing. Change it up, man. It's like, well, yeah, I wouldn't be saying the same thing if people didn't keep making the same mistakes. And here's the thing. I was one of the few people who was saying take profit when we get to November of 2024. And so many other people were putting out this content going, no way, it's going to be $100 or nothing or more. And of course, that type of enthusiasm gets a lot of attention and a lot of viewership and a lot of clicks and a lot of engagement, but it's not really realistic. Now look, sure enough, if you have a smaller bag, let's say you hold under 10,000 XRP, then look, it doesn't really make sense to take profit at about $2 per coin or $2.70 or $3, not even $10. You may have to wait for $100 to really make some life-changing profit. But if you've been accumulating for quite some time and you have a big enough bag, when you got to the $2 plus point, there's definitely opportunities there to take some profit. And the obvious evidence of this was the amount of people who've gotten to the early stages of 2025 and they all regret not taking profits. And that's why you've heard me say for the last couple of months, use this time to build a plan and have multiple take profit points so that when we start rallying again and we start seeing $3, then $5, then $10, then $15, then $20, you're not going to make the same mistake that a lot of people made in November of 2024, which is they hadn't spent that time in the bear market building and growing their bags. And so when we started seeing $1, $2, $2.50, $2.60, $2.70, people couldn't take profits because they hadn't built their bags up enough. Or in some instances, or actually a lot of instances, people had these big bags, but it didn't align with their plans, which is, well, XRP is the number one crypto in finance. If I take profits now below $3, that's a really big mistake. And unfortunately, what a lot of people don't realize, and what a lot of people won't realize until after they get to the other end of the alt season, is that there were many take profit opportunities between $1 and $5 or $2 and $10 or $2 and $20. There's multiple options within that price bracket to actually make some money. But people aren't willing to compromise because they're married to this notion that, well, XRP is absolutely going to be worth $1,000 one day, so why would I compromise now? And look, everyone has different take profit strategies. So this is not financial advice. Everyone has a different price point, a different amount that's going to change their lives for the better. And this is just me speaking from as someone who's been in crypto since 2016. I've seen people get married to prices. I've been married to certain crypto prices in the past. And you think a crypto is going to go a lot higher than it does. And you get to the end of a bull run and an alt season cycle, and you always say the same thing, which is, I wish I'd taken profits, or I wish I'd done something different. And unfortunately, you make that 4-year mistake, which is now you have to round trip those profits and you round trip your holdings. And you have to wait another 3.5, 4 years for that opportunity to come back again. And that's making the assumption that your crypto that you didn't take profits from, that crypto is going to skyrocket again the next bull run. And, unfortunately with XRP, it didn't happen, not the same way it happened in 2017 going into 2018. When we got to 2020 and 2021, because of the Ripple versus SEC lawsuit, we didn't get the same level of parabolic price action that we saw in the previous bull run. And so a lot of people, including myself, we didn't get a take profit opportunity for XRP. We had to look to other cryptos we were holding to actually make some decent profit. And then now that's why 2024 and 2025 is so exciting, because XRP has already led the way on the first leg up. And now everybody's holding their breath, waiting to see what XRP does the second leg up. And that brings me back to the point I've been making, which is why it's so important to have a plan. Because here's the thing, a lot of people are making a lot of assumptions. They're all assuming that we're going to have a utility run a lot sooner than people anticipate. And this is something I've been hearing since 2018, 2019. People have always assumed that the utility run is just around the corner, that banks are going to announce any day now that they're all using XRP, and we'll have a flip the switch moment where XRP is going to go from $2 to $2,000 in the space of 30 seconds. And you know what? It hasn't happened since 2018, 2019. And I'm not saying this to be negative. Once again, it's about having a realistic approach to how crypto has performed in the past and having a realistic strategy on where crypto could go in the next couple of months, the next year, the next 2 years, the next 5 years, and 10 years. And that's why it's so important to initially look at XRP as a performing digital asset within the confines of an alt season. That's the first way to look at it. So you look at prices like $5, $10, $20, because that's how it could conceivably respond to the market volatility when it comes to an alt season. Now, if we're talking utility run, that's entirely different to the alt season. And once again, we have to have a strategy. If we have banks announcing they're utilizing XRP, that's the one piece of news that I could see pushing the price of XRP and actually seeing XRP responding to that announcement, to that piece of news. And so we may get XRP skyrocket from $10 to $100 just from an announcement that Bank of America or a different bank will use XRP. And then here's the thing, it'll take some time for banks to kind of trial it and make sure it's going to work. But when banks get the go-ahead, they get the green light that they can actually utilize XRP and blockchain technology within the parameters of the banking and financial system, and they can utilize it to update and modernize and change the way or enhance the way they actually conduct financial and banking transfers, that's going to be the game changer that pushes XRP beyond $100. We're talking every bank and financial institution around the world with millions and billions and trillions of dollars flowing directly through and directly into XRP. That's when we see XRP skyrocket up to $1,000. And once it goes up there, it's staying there. You can kiss any type of volatility goodbye. And so once again, when XRP is at $1,000, you're looking at your midterm and long-term strategies and you're going, okay, I've got my short-term plan, which involves the alt season, and it kind of encompasses maybe all of 2025, for example. And then you go, okay, midterm and long-term. Well, midterm, it covers the announcement of banks using XRP. Great, so it covers $50, $100, maybe even $500 per XRP. Then long-term, you go, okay, every bank and financial institution around the world is now utilizing XRP, so now we're talking $1,000, maybe $10,000, maybe even more. We'll have to see. But that's what I mean by short-term, mid-term, long-term plans, because you don't want to be selling all your XRP in the alt season, and then a couple of years from now it starts rallying beyond $100, and now you don't have a long-term bag to take profits out of. And you don't want to be in a situation where you want to try and buy back into XRP, but now you're paying $100 for one XRP or $1,000 for one XRP. Where we want to be is having used these opportunities where we see the market dip, where we see bear markets, where we see an unexpected bear market in the middle of a bull run. That's the time we use to build and grow so that we can hold, and then we can wait and see what the price points are going to be short-term, mid-term, long-term. So we're not paying 100 more or 1,000 more for the exact same crypto we could buy today for below $3 a coin. And as I said, ladies and gents, not financial advice. Just a perspective of someone who's been in crypto long enough to see both the positive and negative narratives come and go for XRP. And everybody's waiting for the same thing. They're waiting for the number one crypto in finance, XRP, to have its value reflected in its price. We already know that it has amazing value in what it was designed to do. We're just waiting for the price of XRP to catch up to that initial value of how it was created. And that's the thing, ladies and gents, short-term, mid-term, long-term, XRP is still the number one crypto in finance, and we're going to have many opportunities as the years unfold to make life-changing profits when it comes to XRP. And as I said, ladies and gents, not financial advice. But if you've enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. And if you're curious about the other cryptos I hold outside of XRP, consider becoming a Patreon. Click the link in the description below, head across to my Patreon page, and consider becoming a Barry C VIP. Now there you'll have access to all the cryptos I hold, as well as my buy, sell, and take profit signals in real time.